Hello folks, the Y Guy here, and I want to welcome you to my home on this very drizzly, cold, semi-cold autumn day up here in the Northwest, and I still love it. So anyway, look me up on Facebook under the Y Guy, the group, or my avatar, John Anthony Jones. And also on this video, YouTube video, please give me a thumbs up, thumbs down, explain why you did so politely, all right, so we can all learn together. I know I need to probably eat my words when it comes to politely, but anyhow, the name of this video is called The Y Guy Defends Rob Bell, Martin Zender, Gerry Beauchemin, Gerry and Michelle Amirault, and Julie Ferwerda. How do you pronounce your name, Julie? I forgot. Anyway, and I know her personally, her and her husband. The reason I felt the need to defend these folks and do a video about it is because I want to do a shout out for them on their behalf, because they were so instrumental in my journey and where I'm at and why I'm doing the Y Guy videos. You know, all the time I'm asking my viewers, why do you believe what you believe? And now I'm going to give a full explanation of why I believe what I believe and what took place with me. Okay, it all started when I went to a doctor's office, and you know, you're sitting there, it seems like forever, and I'm reading this Time magazine. It's dated April 25th of 2011. That was obviously somewhere in May of 2011. I went to the doctor. Okay, now you know. And the name of the title on this Time magazine is called "What If There's No Hell?" Okay, and in this article, it was covering this author named Rob Bell, and the controversy surrounding a book called Love Wins. And as I was reading this article, something was dawning on me as all these, quote, Christian leaders were calling him a heretic and all sorts of other names. Now, you got to understand, at this point in time in my life, I fully believed and taught hell. You better believe I did. So anyway, as I was reading this article, and this author of this article did such a good job, he was unbiased, that I began to see both sides of the equation here. So I got to thank him too, whoever this author is, John. Anyway, he's part of my journey too. As I was reading this, I began to think, uh-oh, all these, quote, church leaders are calling this guy a heretic and other names, so I guess I fall in that kind of category too, because I couldn't find anything I disagreed with this Rob Bell. So after I got home from the doctor's office, the doctor gave me this magazine. I pulled up YouTube and started watching some Rob Bell, and I was thinking, uh-oh, I don't disagree with anything this guy is saying, you know? And I only watched one or two at that point in time. And then I ran across a video of this very kind gentleman. He's a dentist. His name his video was called Defending Rob Bell or something like that. And he wrote this book, which I didn't know about at the time until I investigated it further. And I want to give a shout out to him. It's called Hope Beyond Hell. Alrighty, and I can't encourage you enough to read this book. All right, now I'm going to be sharing a couple other books here real quick, and I can't encourage you enough to read those too. But anyway, there's such a historical accuracy of this book, and the reason I know there is because I personally, over the next days and weeks, he had a free download, by the way, of this book on his site, hopebeyondhell.net. Is that what it is? Yeah. Anyway, and as I was reading it online and over the days and weeks, I began to investigate to prove this guy wrong, you see. And there's nothing wrong with trying to prove somebody wrong. That's one of the healthiest things you can do, as long as you're teachable. There's a key there. So anyway, as I began investigating it for myself, not believing anyone, I had 4 or 5 different Bibles, different translations open up on my desk. I had my computer open, and I had the different dictionaries I had the Strong's Concordance opened up on my desk, and I realized that the Strong's Concordance later on was a Latin-based dictionary, and I don't want to get into why I know that on this video. But I also had Aramaic, Hebrew, and Greek, and I was looking stuff up and meanings, and you know what? This guy was not wrong. But even though I was reading his book, my head kept shaking. No, this can't be true. This cannot be true. And yet deep inside of my heart, or my being, where I know God dwells, and I can't explain that at all, the encouragement was coming, yes, believe this, receive this. And I'm, no, yes, no. And there was this battle going on with me, all right? Well, anyhow, the turning point is on hopebeyondhell.net. There's a video, and there's one today, to this day. I just looked it up before I started this video, called A Jewish Woman's Journey. Her name is Michelle Amirault. All right, and I want to give a shout out to her and her husband in just a moment. But and it's called, like I said, A Jewish Woman's Journey. She was the tipping point. Michelle, I can't thank you enough, okay, for sharing your heart. I challenge anyone to watch that video and see if it doesn't touch your heart, okay? And that was the tipping point. That was where all the me shaking my head no finally went like this, okay? I want to encourage you. Okay, now I want to move on to, as I watched her video, I realized, hey, I better go to tentmaker.org. And her and her husband, Gerry and Michelle Amirault, it's literally, I think literally, and I've been investigating this for years, that is literally the best site for investigation and for information. I challenge anyone who is looking to go to that site. I challenge you to do so. Okay? I get nothing. Those people don't know me from Adam or Eve. But anyway, they don't know me. So I get nothing from promoting them to anyone. So go to that site, and I want to give a shout out and a thank you to both Gerry and, the funny remembrance here. One of the YouTube videos I ran across was Gerry Amirault. He does wonderful YouTube videos, by the way. But one of them I ran across was just a short little blurb where all I could think of after seeing this, gosh, this guy's a smart ass. That's all I could think. And this was right before, before I saw Michelle Amirault's video. But he was looking at the camera kind of like sideways, and he's kind of looking into it really close. And he's got this smirk on his face, and he's saying, there's no such thing as hell, or something along those lines. I don't know. I don't remember exactly. And I remember thinking, yeah, right. What an idiot. So, anyway, that's funny. It is now, because now I totally adore the guy. But anyhow, let me move on to someone else. Well, here's just kind of a weird thing. I don't know. I grabbed this book because it was part of. I wrote this book. It was called Eternal Security, Fact or Fiction. And this was way before my journey. But this was, maybe God was placing, not maybe, God was putting this in my heart years ago of something was very off. How Christianity was sabotaging one another. And not only were they sending all sorts of unbelievers to hell, they were sending believers to hell too. So, and I knew that was off. I knew that was wrong. Anyway, there's a picture of a younger, handsome fella of yours truly. Anyway, that's my book that I wrote. And by the way, this book is bogus. Okay, it is now. Or I should say I outgrew it, and so that kind of makes it bogus. Then I was introduced to a wonderful person who, frankly, I disagree with probably 50% of what he says, but I love him. His name is Martin Zender. And, man, now if you want to be entertained and laugh at your mistakes, laugh at some of your bogus beliefs, look him up on YouTube. And don't get me wrong, it's not just about humor and entertainment. The guy's well-grounded, even though, like I said, in my research pulls up different stuff, different understanding of some things than his research. But I do want to give a shout out for a specific book that he wrote that, again, I can't speak more highly of. It's called, I don't know if you can see it in this dark, it's called The First Idiot in Heaven. Okay? This book here, I've read it twice. So, again, I don't agree with everything in it. The vast majority I do. It finally opened things up in my mind. Now, this is long after my journey, after my paradigm shift of realizing hell was bogus and that was a man-made doctrine. This is long after that, okay? Long after that. But he's written a whole bunch of other little books and booklets and baby books, Mine here was a teenage book. His was a baby book. He's written a bunch of baby books. Just kidding, by the way. No insult intended, because they're all wonderful. Okay, every one of them. But this is a full-size, good reading, good meat and potatoes kind of a thing. Read it, okay? Also read Rob Bell's Love Wins. Sorry about that, Rob. I didn't point that out. One last thing. Her and her husband came up and is actually eaten at our table. And if you want this, probably to me, is probably the best research book on the topic of hell that I have ever read. And I have read this 3 times, okay? And it's called Raising Hell, all right, by my good friend on Facebook, and you need to look her up, Julie Ferwerda, all right? And here's a picture of the gorgeous lady, all right? Take a, and her husband's even good looking too, but don't tell him I said that. Look them up and look this book up and read this if you have any questions. See, the one of Gerry's is very historically accurate, all right? And let's face it, when a guy writes a book, it's more just punches. It's to the point. It's fact based and stuff. I'm not saying Julie's isn't, but she adds some heart and soul into this that makes it good reading for everyone. They're both, you've got to get them both, okay, because they complement each other. You know, this has a historical value that I can't even begin to tell you, and this one, it makes lights go off in your head, like, I didn't see that in Scripture before. I didn't know that, and here it was in front of me the whole time. The Scripture, I've owned Bibles for years, and here it was in front of me the whole time, and she explains how and why it was put in there so beautifully. And this guy, he explains historically of how Christianity got perverted along the way, and how some of the stuff. Anyway, I do want to thank you for viewing this video. And I hope I didn't ramble on too terribly long, but I had to say thank you so much to Rob Bell, even though I never met the man. Martin Zender, never met him, but I've seen every single one of his YouTube videos, and he has 1,000 of them. And I've seen every one of Gerry's videos, Gerry Beauchemin, and I've had dialogue back and forth with him, at least via email, and he's very kind, considerate man. Watch his videos. How can this man threaten you? How can you even begin to judge a man like Gerry? It's literally impossible. Gerry, Michelle, Amirault, 2 of the finest people on this planet. Okay? And as of doing this video, you know, prayers out. Okay? For Gerry and Michelle. All right? Special prayers, and I'm not going to explain why I'm saying that. But please consider that. And Julie and Steve Ferwerda, I'm in your corner. You know I am. You're always welcome in my home. Thank you for viewing.